two new blockbusters came out on Christmas Day, so of course I had to watch them and share my thoughts with you here. But what did I think about watching them at home versus being able to see them on the big screen? Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel at least twice a week, and then movie reviews or book to movie videos here at the weekend. But of course it has just been Vlogmas, so I have been bringing you a video every day. I will leave my Vlogmas playlist linked up above, and in the description box you will find all of my social media links so you can keep up with my reading and my watching in between times. All of my reviews are spoiler free, and yes, we had the release of Soul on Disney Plus and Wonder Woman. Now, I never know if it's 84 or 1984. Wonder Woman, I think it's 84, on HBO Max. And the first thing before I talk about them separately I want to say is that even though I was watching these on my screen at home, both of them were visually very, very beautiful. The Pixar movie, I think, was just like, yeah, Pixar's kind of best animation work. It was just so like just so like crisp and clear and realistic, and like we have a lot of hands playing the piano in this film and the animation was just fabulous. And then even compared to the Wonder Woman that came out in 2017, we're only 3 years later, but already you can kind of see the difference in the CGI, and the cinematography was just very beautiful. And because that one is set in the 80s, we've got a lot of like really strong colors, and I think it kind of like lifts the film just a little bit more because of all the strong colors. So let's talk about Soul first of all. I really enjoyed it. Everybody's talking about comparing it to Inside Out because it's clearly kind of that same ilk. Lots of people were worried about watching it because Inside Out is very emotional and made them cry. Soul, even though it deals with the massive topic of the meaning of life, and so to talk about that we kind of have to talk about birth and death, it did not make me cry. However, I really did enjoy it. I think the fact that it deals with this sort of bigger topic, it made for some really interesting watching, and definitely made some interesting watching coming at the end of 2020. I will say that it's not a kid's film. I think if I was watching this with children, I think even sort of your sort of older younger children, I think it would just go over their heads. I don't think there's necessarily enough kind of kids humor there to keep them entertained. There is definitely, you know, it definitely looks and feels like a Disney Pixar movie, but you have to concentrate to watch it. And so I'm glad we kind of left it until Christmas Day evening to watch it, because we could sit down and actually watch what's going on and kind of follow the storyline. The voices in it are amazing, and the shots of New York City are just fabulous. I love all the background detail they've got, and the detail on the subway. And then kind of one of the really nice things was Joe's relationship with his family. So Joe is a musician, so you kind of go into it thinking that it's going to be about this jazz musician, but he has this really nice relationship with his family. And again, I think it's kind of something that we needed to watch at the end of this year. And I love the fact that Pixar went, okay, we're gonna make a movie about the meaning of life and have these souls when they're ready to be born, and there's these souls when they're ready to leave the earth. And, you know, we're gonna have Tina Fey as a voice of one of these souls. And there was some bold choices in there. I did not realize, I didn't kind of pay attention beforehand. I wanted to go in quite fresh, and so I didn't pay attention beforehand to who was doing the voices. And, you know, Richard Ayoade's in there, and then along comes Graham Norton, and I'm like, what's going on here? This is amazing. And of course Claire Huxtable playing the mother, just great casting there. And I totally believe that Tina Fey was in fact an unborn soul and not a amazing comedy writer. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it. As always, would I have paid money to go and see this in the cinema? Absolutely, I would have done. Yes, a new Disney movie, a new Pixar movie, Onward was one of the last films that I saw in the cinema, and I'm really pleased that it was, and I'm excited that we got this new one so soon and we didn't have to wait until it was safe to go back to the cinema and they were open to be able to see it. It's one that I probably would watch again. I've rewatched Inside Out, and so why would I not rewatch Soul? So yeah, 100% recommend that one. But if you're thinking of watching it with younger kids, I don't think it's a kids' film. I think that if you are watching this as an adult and you're not sure whether to watch it because you think it might be too much of a kids' film, no, go ahead and watch it. And yeah, if you're worried about the emotions, know that I didn't cry, and I cry at most things. So there you go. So Wonder Woman 84, those of you who've been following for a little while will know that I'm definitely more on the side of Marvel than DC. I enjoyed Shazam, and that is DC, and I enjoyed Harley Quinn, and that is DC, but a lot of the other DC films just are not my thing. So I had not seen the original Wonder Woman, so I watched that, couldn't get through that, because it's basically a war film. It's set in World War One, and I talked at the beginning of the video about the fact that the colours in Wonder Woman 84 are just so vibrant and so like lift it. The colours in the first Wonder Woman film are so muted because it is World War One, and I just couldn't get through it. And I really tried. For you, I really tried to get through it. I you know, my standard is 40 minutes, and I gave it more than that. A bit like with Aquaman, I gave it more than that. I think even if I'd been watching this one on the big screen, because I did have the opportunity many times to see it on the big screen, and I did not take that opportunity. I think it might have been before Movie Pass, and so that's why I didn't take that opportunity. I think had I had Movie Pass or AMC A-List, I probably would have given it a chance on the big screen, because I think it would have been interesting to see it on the big screen. But it was too much of a war movie, and it was really boring me. So Wonder Woman 84 got off to a much better start because it was so vibrant with colours, and even though the scene at the beginning is set back in sort of Diana's world, which is, you know, this beautiful, it's sort of pegged as being in the Mediterranean, and I read that it was filmed on the Amalfi Coast, and so it is so beautiful. It's just visually stunning, and it kind of drops you right into some action, and I just really enjoyed that, and I like getting to see young Diana as well. And then yeah, we go into this 80s Washington DC, and there's Kristen Wiig, and there's the kind of the guy that you know is going to be the villain, and so I think it's a bit more straightforward than the original film, and so from the beginning I was more hooked into it than with just Wonder Woman. The film itself, as it moved on, I wasn't kind of like driven to keep watching it because it had an amazing storyline. You know, it's a comic book movie. It's going to have, you know, good versus evil, and there's going to be a contrived way to get there, and there's going to be a little twist here and there. And the plot itself wasn't like, you know, multifaceted. It was fairly straightforward. And so if you're kind of watching this with a family, I think you'll all find it easy to follow. But yeah, the plot itself wasn't necessarily the thing that kept me watching. I liked the time setting. I liked the fact that it was a bit more modern. I really, really liked all the attention to detail with all the 80s stuff. And then, yeah, I didn't necessarily watch it with my full attention. And so that shows you that it didn't keep, you know, I had the whole sofa and the whole lounge to myself, and I could have watched it with full attention, but I was kind of doing other stuff. I did find myself reading a little bit whilst watching it, so that kind of shows you that I enjoyed it enough to keep watching, but I didn't enjoy it enough to keep watching with my full attention. I bought some new glasses whilst I was watching it, so I think that gives you a really good idea of my opinion of it. I probably, if, you know, we had been talking this time last year and I had my AMC A-List, I probably would have gone to see this in IMAX or in Dolby, and I think it would have worked really well on the big screen. It works okay on my TV, like it's a fairly large TV, you know, it's in 4K and what have you, but I think it would have kept my attention more on the big screen. It is a 2.5 hour film. And so I think that to be able to keep people's attention at home for 2.5 hours is quite a difficult thing to do. Even when I'm going back to some of the, Avengers films, they're really quite long. And so sometimes if I'm watching them at home, rewatching them at home, I take a break. So I'm lucky that I got to see most of those in the cinema for the first time. I think this is one that doesn't work as well on the small screen. And perhaps it would have been better had Warner Brothers waited till we could go back to the cinema again. I don't know. I wouldn't have paid to download this one, whereas I would have paid to download Soul, but that's just where I come from with I love Disney and Pixar. I'm a little bit dubious about DC movies. And so, yeah, that's where I kind of fall on that one. Clearly been talking too much, but yeah. I hope that's slightly like, I didn't really like it, but I think there's reasons I didn't like it. Review is enough for you. But yeah, out of the two, if you were going to pick one to stream at home, definitely recommend Soul over Wonder Woman 84. But I don't know, if you are watching this somewhere where you can go to cinema, I don't know if there's any, I see things and they're like, in cinemas now, or in cinemas Christmas Day, I'm like, where are these cinemas? Where are these movie theatres that are open? Because I don't have any near me, and I don't know anyone that's going to the cinema right now, but maybe they are. I don't know. But yeah, if you are watching it somewhere, I would definitely recommend seeing Wonder Woman in the cinema versus waiting at home. I mean, if you can see Soul in the cinema, that would be amazing, but it does work at home as well. And, we'll probably be one of those that if it's on when I'm on an aeroplane, if that ever happens again, I would put that on whilst I have watched Inside Out again on an aeroplane. So that makes an awful lot of sense. Okay, we are back to regularly scheduled content next week. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on my next movie review video, and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I post bookish content for you in the week. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And as always, if there is a particular movie that you know has recently come to streaming or that I may have missed in cinemas last year before, let me know in comments. I am happy to review on demand. I will be back with more bookish content next week and more movie content for you at the weekend. So I will see you then. Thanks for watching.